Welcome to Warren and Will's Wild Wine Reviews. I am Warren. I've got some 2,000 plus wines that I've reviewed on Vivino. I've been doing wine for a little while now. And
I'm Will. I'm a certified sommelier through the Court of Master Sommeliers. I have somewhere in the hundreds. I haven't actually looked at how many reviews I have.
Although you've had way more wine than that.
Yeah, I really should start reviewing every wine that I actually have, and it's one of those things where I forget to take a picture of the bottle and I forget to write down my notes. But yeah, no, I've had way more wine than that. But we are doing something special tonight.
Yep.
We are doing a live review, and we are doing a regular YouTube review.
So what we'll be doing in the future, now that we have a Patreon, is you'll be able to see these live while we're doing it if you're one of our Patreon people. So we're giving you an idea of what that looks like, because we edit out a lot. Like, we've edited out over an hour of some of our videos. So you get the whole experience if you're a Patreon and you follow us live on Facebook. So let's get into tonight's wine.
Yeah.
Tonight's wine is from Venge Vineyards. It's their Bone Ash 2018. This is their top line. I mean, it's a limited number. I don't know what the number is, but this is 156.
Yeah, the bottle number is actually on the back here. This is kind of cool.
From the Vivino stats, and I always use Vivino, that's the place I start with for everything. This gets 4.6 stars out of 5, which is one of the higher wines you'll ever find anywhere. And that's with 1,664 ratings. It's $174.99 a bottle average price at Vivino. And the way they figure that out is people put in what they paid for it, and that is the average after a certain number of people put in and put what their price is. Now, I paid more than that because I found it at a beach wine shop, and this is a hard wine to get your hands on, so I bought it. Now, the family that runs this vineyard purchased 17 acres in 17-acre functioning vineyard in 1976 in the Oakdale district of Napa. Nils Venge is the founder. His father owned Venge Imports, a wine and spirits importer, and currently Kirk Nils, Nils' son, is now the full owner, which makes 3 generations in the wine industry, 2 winemaking. As I've said before, it seems that when you look back at a lot of these vineyards, you find 2 or 3 generations back, the family first started out as a distributor or an importer, and then they move into making the wine. That seems to be a natural progression. Let's see. Once Kirk took over the winery, he immediately purchased the 12.5 acre Bone Ash vineyard in the foothills of Palisade Mountains in Castaloga, which is also part of Napa, so this is still a Napa cab. He bottles his wines unfiltered and unfined, and he uses a combination of new and once used French oak barrels.
So a lot of French oak character on this one, So let's get into it.
We decanted this 2.5 hours ago, so this has been
opening up. It reminds me a little bit of double back.
Yeah, it does.
Tiny bit.
Lots of
Actually,
dark
a lot
fruit.
bit.
Lots of dark fruit.
Tons of dark fruit. Lots of blackberry.
Oak, peat, smoke. I mean, all of those come from the oak, but there's more than just one oaky smell.
Now, are you picking up any of the minty eucalyptusy things that you get off of some Napa cabs? Because I'm getting a hint. I'm getting a hint. Yeah, I'm getting kind of like
definitely eucalyptus.
Well, that mentholy. I mean, the thing about eucalyptus and mint is they both have that menthol kind of cool burn. Yeah, definitely very deep, dark.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah, aromatic aroma.
That is an amazing first sip. Big mouthfeel.
Yep, lots of tannin. So this is the kind of tannin that bites your gum just right immediately. A lot of black fruit, a lot of blackberry, a lot of blueberry, some mineral, some slatey kind of gravelly,
which is a thing
kind
you
of.
run into every now and then.
Now you did mention this has barely any age on it, and you're going to be able to see this.
Yeah, I mean this
from the cork,
which is amazing because it was bottled in 2018. Well, actually, I don't know when it was bottled. It was picked in 2018.
Yeah, it was picked in 2018. So, I mean, we can guess this probably has at least a year, maybe more worth of oak age yet. Well, I was going to say of oak.
Right,
so probably, I'm going to say like maybe 2.5 years in the bottle. And it drinks spectacularly considering how young it is.
Right. This could age for another 10 or 20 years.
Oh, easily.
But it drinks beautifully
very
right
easily.
now.
No, honestly, it's really interesting because we had the, I think it was the Dunn Cabernet Sauvignon.
Yeah.
And it was
this
really
is better.
No, it is better, But it's also
and that was
interesting.
a damn good wine.
Yeah, very good wine. But it's also interesting to note the Dun was very different from Doubleback.
Yep.
This is kind of approaching.
It's got the higher acidity.
Mm-hmm. It's got the higher acidity. It's got the cooler climate. Black fruits. Now Doubleback didn't have this level of acidity, or not acidity. I'm sorry, minerality.
Right.
The Doubleback was basically just a pure expression of fruit.
Now you're mentioning the minerality, which is bringing up a thing. There was a word I was searching for way back in like our second or third video, and that is the smell of slate or pavement when it rains.
Yep.
The word is petrichor.
Petrichor. Yes.
There's a bit of that going on here.
Absolutely, which is a good word. I've heard of that word.
Why I blanked on that word, I have no idea, but I did that day.
It's actually really funny. That word has popped up recently in a completely non-wine related context.
It will help your vocabulary. We
yeah.
promise.
There's a video game I love called Sunless Skies, and if you journey to the land of the dead, you can't get actual food, but you can get petrichor.
Okay.
And if you eat it, you consider to be dining with the dead, and you have to leave some part of yourself behind in order to travel back to the land of the living.
All right.
So petrichor entered my vocabulary for completely non-wine related reasons, but it's a good word to know.
Well, it didn't enter my vocabulary because of wine. It was like, what does that smell?
Right.
And Angela knew the word because she knows every damn word that's ever existed.
If you've ever picked a rock up out of a stream and smelled that, or
about a moment before it starts to rain.
Exactly. Or been out in the mountains and surrounded by rocks and stuff.
There's a bit of that here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And the funny thing is that it's not as much in the aroma. It's more of you taste the way wet rocks smell.
This is really mellow on the mouth. I want to know what the alcohol content is.
Yeah,
14.9. So it's not.
No, it's high.
Not a small one, but it's not 16 like some of the ones we
and
do.
Honestly, some of the ones that are pushing 16 to me are pushing it a little much.
But this could be 13 and a half.
Oh yeah,
13,
absolutely.
12 and a half. I mean, it doesn't finish hot at all.
Not at all. No. It's very well balanced.
Alcohol. This is really well made. Really well made.
And this is one of those wines. Warren and I have talked about this before. How American wine is interesting because in pretty much every other wine drinking culture, wine is a food pairing. Wine goes with food. And not that you can't have wine on its own. If wine is well made, it should be
drinkable
able to. Yeah, exactly. But Americans are odd in that we are one of the few cultures that will do like. If Warren and I were doing this in pretty much every other country that enjoys wine, we would have like
food.
Yeah, a smorgasbord.
And we were pretending to eat because you can't really eat and do this.
Right.
But we're Americans, so I would drink this bottle of wine anytime without food.
Well,
I'd love it with food, but
it's scientific. I mean, the thing is that if a wine is good, I mean, food will improve a bad wine, but a good wine is good on its own without food.
Yep.
But that being said, this is a wine. If you're gonna do like a rare steak, rack of lamb, I mean the heaviest protein that you can conceive of.
Extra pepperoni pizza.
Yep.
Lots of spicy food, Indian food.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
It'll stand up to it.
I told you the story about how I thought I hated Shiraz when I was a kid. Because my dad always served it with Indian curry. Mm-hmm. And so, like it would be hot and I would be drinking the wine to try to like quench the fire and it'd be making it worse. Nope, not at all.
Yeah.
And so I thought I knew I liked Indian food, so I knew there was no way I hated Indian food, but I thought I hated Shiraz. And then I got to college and just on a whim I bought a bottle of Shiraz just because, you always need to revisit things.
Right.
And I was like, I don't hate Shiraz at all. Shiraz is quite nice.
I love
so
Shiraz.
Wait a
minute. Well, I love Molly Duker Shiraz.
Well,
Other Shiraz, I mean, I had a great Shiraz from France, which I've mentioned any number of times, but I have no idea how to get my hands on it again. I would buy it over and over again because my wife will drink it, and she drinks almost no reds. But I got it in Belfast, and we went into a wine bar and had dinner.
Yeah.
And we ordered their house wine, which had their label on it. It was cute. And it was French Shiraz. It was great.
Yeah.
And I was like, so who did you get this from? And
he
they
had
said,
no idea.
The owner of the bar died 6 months ago, and I bought it from him, and there are no records. We don't know. That made me sad.
That is sad. The only thing, and the nice thing about the information age is that if you really wanted to, what you could do is throw out like a sort of broadcast and be like, hey, if you're a French Syrah producer, and well, the thing is,
did you do the one for this place that I don't remember?
Well, the thing is,
but I could find
did the bar label it, or did the producers label it? Because if
That's
the
a good
producers
question.
labeled it,
Then
I
they'll
guarantee
remember.
you
Well, they might
will remember
anyway. Yeah.
bottling it for
I
a
don't know who
Belfast
bottled
bar.
it. They didn't
yeah.
know anything. They couldn't give me
Right.
any information, but it was a really kind of mellow Syrah that my wife liked, and it was good enough and big enough for me to enjoy.
One of the
This
things.
is surprisingly approachable for what it is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, usually you get a bottle that's this price, you give it to someone who hasn't drank a lot of reds, and they're going to be very like, what are you giving me? This is horrible, even though it's fantastic. This one won't do that.
Well, and it's kind of, I mean, the thing is that it's really just throwing them in the deep end, because the thing is it's with this wine, it's not the alcohol content, it's not the tannins, it's not the flavor, it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah, they've got...
It's everything.
The tannins are nice, but they're not like gripping and they're not chalky, which can set some people off. I like chalky tannins. Lots of people don't.
Sure.
You know, so the tannins are on the back end. They're not intruding into the middle like some wines that haven't been in a bottle long enough. All you get are tannins.
Well, it's also worth noting, this bottle is a 2018. Chalky tannins would not be out of place in a wine this young. Yep. So the fact that it doesn't have... I mean, I did get some grip around the gums when I first took that first sip.
Yeah, there's a bit of that. You feel it right against
but not
your
a ton.
teeth.
Not a ton.
Right.
And so the thing is that it's young
blackberry pie right now.
Yeah, the young wine phenomenon that usually would scare people off. It's not here at all. That being said, there's a ton of longevity, aging potential on this wine.
It's almost like drinking blackberry pie right now. There's a lot of blackberry. There's like pie crust. There's the
I would love to have
spices.
this in 2032.
Oh, me too. Me too.
I would love to see what it's done. Yeah.
But I'm not sure I'll be in America in 2032.
Well, never say
I'm
never.
not sure I'll be alive in 2032.
Maybe I've already gone away and come back by 2032.
20 years.
Yeah.
That would put me in my late 70s.
Right.
There's a scary thought.
Nah, it's not scary.
Ah.
I like to think that there are plenty of good role models for what you know. There's what I think of as like the aging I don't want to do, and then there's the aging I want to do.
Yeah.
And there are people I know that are well past 70, and I'm like, you know what? I could do that.
Yeah.
I could. There's a lady here in Floyd, Jane Avery, and
Jane's awesome.
Jane is amazing. But she goes out dancing on weekends, and I'm like, you know, I could do that. If being in my 70s looks the way Jane is making it look, I could completely do that kind of aging. And then there are people that just complain about it. I'm like, well, I mean, granted, you know, everybody has different health issues and different things that crop up, so I don't want to make it sound like anybody is it's just a function of attitude. It's not. But there are some people for whom...
Some of it's genetics.
But some of it really is attitude.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, I'm old, so I have to act a certain way. No, you don't. You can
I'm going to
age
sit in
however
my
you
chair
want.
and watch TV. Well, that's a good way to get that downward slide. That is never going to be me.
No, I definitely want to be dancing when I'm in my
every
70s.
day, you know, making sure I stay in shape.
Yeah.
I've cut back on wine because I look at myself on these videos and I'm like, oh, I got to get down lower. And I got down a bit lower at the beach, but then my Fitbit broke.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of stalled. But I'll get a new Fitbit and I'll get back at it. I mean, I'm already back at it.
Right.
But, you know, I'm not going as quickly as I'd like. But, you know, I'm still down 25 pounds from the first video.
That's awesome.
That's not enough. But, you know.
It's still good.
It is what it is,
still progress.
as Paul Stanley would say to me over and over again.
I used to hate that phrase, and then I realized that it wasn't that I hated the phrase. It was that I hated that there was a particular ex-girlfriend of mine. She used to say it at the most inappropriate times.
Yeah.
And if we're talking about, like, if you and I are just talking about something that we can't change, and you're like, well, it is what it is, it's like, well, yeah, true that. But I would be telling her about, like, a sob story of mine or something that I felt actually, like, legitimately, like...
Then he stole my car. It is what it is.
I
don't have a freaking car!
Not exactly sympathetic, dear.
Yeah.
So I realized, actually, when other people say it, I was like, actually, it doesn't bother me as much because they're actually saying it when it's appropriate, not when I need sympathy.
Yeah, we were usually talking about Gene.
Right. Yeah. Which you can't change him. It is what it is.
It's funny. You know, I once got a call from Gene's personal assistant freaking out because Paul had said stuff about Gene in an interview that I did with Gene that he didn't like.
Right.
And he's like, has Gene seen this? I was like, yeah, he proved it. He's like, well, has he read it? And I'm like, I don't know. It's not my job to ask Gene if he did his job.
Right.
And I talked with Paul about it. Paul's like, oh, yeah, he read it.
Yeah.
Gene, there's no chance Gene didn't read it.
Right.
And Gene doesn't get offended by this stuff, you know? I might not say it if he did, but I know he doesn't.
Right.
So this thing that he said that I'm not going to go into.
Right.
I mean, it made it into print, so if you want to go search for it, you can find it in Kiss Magazine #1.
Yeah.
And Gene was like, I don't care.
Right.
You know, I mean, so, and then, you know, he actually like sent it to. He sent a letter to Gene.
Yeah.
CC'd me. Did you read this all the way through? And Gene's like, yeah, I don't have a problem with it. And when I mentioned that to Paul said, and I quote, it was the first time he said to me, "It is what it is." Yes. Okay, guys. So, especially for those of you watching on Facebook, we've been trying to name this little dude who's trapped outside. He looks like Wally, but we can't use that name.
Yeah.
Who's trapped outside of his little spaceship here. And we ask questions and we get responses and everything, but nobody's tried to help us name this guy. And I don't want to call him Spacey McSpaceface. So please, somebody give us a name we can actually use. I mean, don't call him all kinds of really bad things that we can't say. Come up with something cool that will make sense with wine and space. Help us out here. You know, to a lesser extent, we'll pitch this at the people who will see this, but it'll be 6 weeks before people will see this on on YouTube, because that's how far ahead we are, and then that gives us the time to do the editing and to push it out there and to get stuff together. Right. So no more Spacey McSpaceface. Give us an idea. Give us a name. Help.
Yeah.
All right. So back to the wine.
Back to the wine. I mean, the thing is that
of course one of the tines.
There we go.
On our rocket ship, and like this is a rocket ship Bob Eggleton would approve of. Bob, if you're seeing this, let me know, bro. Heck, if you want to paint it, I'll pay you. I want to thank everybody for coming with us on this trip. This is, I think, our 16th wine review.
Yes.
This is a marvelous wine. I would definitely, if you are somebody who spends $175 a bottle for wine, this one's worth the price.
And the thing is we talk a lot about price and value and how things can get inflated beyond their worth. This is, as far as I know, less expensive than some other Napa cabs.
Very much so, yeah.
And it is miles better than a lot of Napa cabs. So part of the reason that we're doing this kind of thing is we cover wines that are less expensive, we cover wines that are more expensive. One of the things that we're trying to shine a light on is that when you get into a certain price range, there's still a quality gradient. Yeah. And this is one of those ones that, if it were just about quality, would be way more than $175 a bottle. So, yeah, it might be out of some people's price range, but it is priced way lower than it should be if we're just talking about quality.
$500 less expensive than a Wraith.
Exactly. And
it's
you think it's comparable?
Now.
No.
But it's $100 less expensive than La Quintessa, and I think it's better.
Yes. And that's the point that I was trying to make, is that when you get into those upper levels, it can seem hairy, because for someone like me, for whom $175 and $325 are equally inaccessible, there are people out there who are watching this who are going, hey, $175, maybe doable, $325, maybe not.
Yep.
This is the kind of wine you want to be buying. And if you're the kind of person who's going to spend a lot of money on a very special bottle for an anniversary or a birthday or some kind of get-together, this is the kind of wine you want to be focusing on.
Yep.
So it's not that this is an everyday drinker for most of our audience, but if you are looking for high-quality Napa Cab at less than the mainstream, overhyped, in our opinion, Napa Cabs, this is what you want to be focusing on.
Right, so thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
We will be back next week.
Sláinte.
Cheers.